Ok, bienvenidos a la clase de español. Um, my name is Madison Joyner. I'm your child Spanish teacher this year. And I can't see myself during this video, so hopefully I don't do anything too weird, but I can't promise anything. So, this video is for my Spanish 1 parents, and you guys can contact me at mjoyner@geneva304.org, or my extension is 3935. I'm not always in the office, so if you guys do call me, I promise to call you back. But email is definitely, if you just want something quick, email is definitely the fastest way to reach me, and I'm available pretty much all the time. So a little about me. I went to the College of DuPage, and I graduated high school in 2013, and then 2 years at College of DuPage, where I graduated with my Associate of the Arts. Then I transferred to what is formerly known as Elmhurst College, currently Elmhurst University, and I graduated there in 2017 with a double master's in Spanish and secondary education. And then I just started at DePaul University, and will be graduating in the summer of 2022 with hopefully a master's degree in value creating education for global citizenship. It is my 4th year here at Geneva and my 4th year being a teacher total. So fortunately, 4 years ago, right 2 days before I graduated, Geneva took a chance on me, and I haven't looked back since. I love the students at Geneva. I love the content at Geneva. I love the teachers at Geneva. And most importantly, and I'm not just sucking up here, I love the parents at Geneva. I've always felt like I had support from you guys, which is essential to running a classroom, and especially essential right now, being that half your child's learning takes place at home. So I really appreciate you guys as well. While I was at Elmhurst, I had the opportunity to do 3 study abroad trips. The first one was to Costa Rica, where I did a homestay with a Costa Rican family. The second time I went to Spain, and I did the Camino de Santiago, which is it's a famous pilgrimage, and in my case, it was through the northern portion of Spain. And then my third trip, I did another homestay with a little old Puerto Rican lady for about a month. So I was in Puerto Rico right before my student teaching. It was a great experience. I have taught levels 1, 2, and 2 honors, and I've taught level 1 the entire time that I have been at Geneva. And I love level 1. I love introducing students to the language, and I love helping them, get their building blocks to set them up to do really cool things. So what is year 1 of Spanish like for my kid? Or for some of you, maybe year 2 in Spanish 1 for my child. So just so you know, we run the course as if it's new to everybody, because it should be. And if your child is repeating, we never ask them that information. So hopefully they feel like this is a fresh start for them, because there's a reason they're here with us again. So I'm hoping that Spanish 1 is an enjoyable experience for your child, and that they have some fun with it, because it's a really important year for language, obviously, but it is should be fun too, I hope. So it's an introduction to the language. So right now, especially, we're doing a big intro to the very basics of language. So we just did intros and greetings, and your students can actually have a full conversation in Spanish, which is pretty cool, considering most of them have been in a Spanish class for 2 weeks now. And the conversation is very basic, like, hi, hello, how are you? I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. Goodbye, delighted to meet you, things like that. But we think that having them have conversations like that in the first few days of school just skyrockets that confidence. And it's starting to show. They're starting to open up a little bit. Right now, we're focusing on the alphabet. So if you guys are hearing the Spanish alphabet song around the house, I'm not going to say I'm sorry, because Cosmo is the best. So hopefully they're sharing that stuff with you guys as well. And we gradually increase in complexity in Spanish 1. So right now we're doing alphabet, numbers, and the weather and things like that. So they're learning more phrases than they are the actual verbs and vocabulary and things like that. And then we start into sentence structure. We introduce verbs one at a time. And then we eventually start with verb patterns and how to build a sentence and how to write a paragraph and how to give a presentation. So by the end of Spanish 1, they're going to have so much knowledge in the language that they can write paragraphs and they can do recordings, and what they can talk about is going to be pretty amazing for just one level of Spanish. And we're looking for basic communication. So what students are going to be able to write and listen to and read is going to be far more complex than what they're actually able to produce with their own language skills. So we do speaking tests and we do encourage them to speak, and they speak Spanish every single day. But just know that stuff comes slower, and that's how language acquisition works. So we speak Spanish to them, they listen, they get a feel for it, and then eventually they're just able to produce language, and it's kind of an amazing thing. So hybrid schedule with in-person and off-site. So the expectations for that, what you guys can expect your students to be doing at home, and what I expect for them in the classroom. And I'll go into the grading and expectations of that in just a minute. So in person, we're going to do pretty much all of our note taking to make sure that we have that question and answer section where students can ask anything that they're confused about. That's where we do the collaborative learning as well. So your students, like I mentioned, they speak Spanish every day and not to themselves. So they can turn and talk to a partner in Spanish. Right now, they're really just asking like, ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo estás? Things like that. But they're answering in Spanish as well. So it's pretty amazing to hear them, even though they're just doing such basic things. And we did some checks for understandings as well. So what that means is like little formative ways for me to see and gauge where they're at. That's especially important this year to make sure that students are on track, being that half their learning is done independently at home. And I feel like doing that stuff in class and reflections in class is very important, because I feel like that's kind of where they're going to put the most thought into it, is when they're doing it in class. So offsite, they're going to be doing some practice activities. So that could just be basic conjugations. That could be some worksheets and things like that. So taking what we learned and putting it into practice. They're going to be doing some recordings at home. We're doing a recording in class this week, and so they should learn how to do that, and hopefully then are able to do that on their own at home. And then some listening activities as well. So they're going to listen to some listening tracks because they hear me speak Spanish, but it's important that they hear other people speak Spanish as well, with different dialects from all over the Spanish-speaking world. So grading, some things that you may see in the grade book, some of those categories, and how offsite points are going to be figured in. So some of these things you may already see in child's grade book. So NHI means not handed in, and it affects their grade as a 0, and it cannot be turned in for credit. So what that would entail, or what typically NHIs are given for, is this year offsite work. So your students know that my expectation is that if they're an A student, they're in class on Monday, and then Tuesday, they're off-site. So they check what they need to do on Schoology, and they get all of that done on Tuesday. So I can check it Wednesday morning and make sure that everything got done at the correct time. The reason for that is I think it's important that your students are engaged in Spanish every single day. We don't have a ton of time this year in class and things like that. So having them at home practicing is so important. And I want them to have that practice. And while it's still valuable if they do it late, I just have to have it as a motivator for that points thing. So the reason I'm standing so firm on that is also the way my course is designed. So their offsite work is specifically designed to either reinforce a topic we learned in class or to help ease them into a new topic we're going to have in class their next in-school day. So if they're doing that later, it's still important practice, but not being used for my original intention. This is not a project-based course. So I can't really say by this day you need to have X, Y, and Z done. I don't care when you do it. So unfortunately, that's kind of what I need to stick to. It's a strict policy, meaning I'm not going to have a ton of flexibility with it, but it's fair in terms of I do not give them an unmanageable workload. It should take them probably between 20 and 40 minutes a night. So it's less than a normal class period would have been on that day. Moving on to a P for pending. So that may be in the grade book for your child if they missed their quiz this week. So they either took a quiz on Wednesday or Thursday, depending if they're an A or a B kid. And if your child was absent, it's in as a P. So it is affecting their grade as a 0 right now. So if they see that lower score, that's why. But I'm still expecting it to be turned in. So the reason for the P grade affecting it as a 0 is because it gives the kids a little kick in the butt to get into school and to really focus on getting that quiz, making that a priority. I have not put things in as P before, and then it gets really, really late, and we're 2 or 3 chapters ahead, and a kid is still missing their vocabulary quiz from 2 chapters ago. So I don't want to get into that habit of waiting to take those quizzes, because obviously when you're learning the information, when it's fresh in your mind and things like that, that's the best time to quiz and make sure that we have an understanding. And the only reason I put the 0 on there is because it's really not something I utilize in the grade book. That's really only if your kid truly did something, like did a quiz or did a project or did something and earned 0 points. I can't think of an instance in which that has happened before. So the reason I put it on there is because it's probably in error. If the quiz was out of 20, it's possible that they got 100% and I just forgot to hit the 2. So that's something that should cause kids to pause and then make sure, kind of do a little self-assessment, like, okay, I definitely didn't earn a 0 on that, and then just shooting me an email and I'll get that fixed for them right away. So what's class like for them? I expect them to be participating. So Spanish is not a class that you can just be passive in. Spanish is a communication class. So in order to do that, you need to be on task and you need to be participating. So it's an active course. We use their cell phones as a tool in the classroom. For example, I'm having them download Flipgrid this week. They can have the Schoology app on their phone, the Quizlet app on their phone. It's all really great tools, but they know not to have their cell phones out and to be a distractor. And I have not had an issue with that ever in my 4 years of teaching, and that's always been my policy. Computers, they should have them in class, and that since they have their backpacks this year, they should have their charger with them. I understand that things happen, which is another reason why when that cell phone comes into play, because pretty much everything we do is based on Schoology, which has an app, so then they can still be participating in that. And then communication. If your student is struggling with something, or if something happens and they're not feeling well, or your Wi-Fi is out or something like that, I just need to be told that. I think of myself as a fairly reasonable person, and your student comes first. So for me, it goes student, then content, which is how it should be. So if they communicate that with me, I'm going to do everything I can to help them be successful in the language, because that's the most important thing. Success to me as a teacher is your student being somebody who wants to learn more language, sees the practicality of it, thinks it's fun, wants to continue. And my goal is, especially a level 1, 2, and 2 honors teacher, is to grow our language program and really make Geneva a good place to take language. And that all starts with students being happy in the class. So that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, again, there's my email and my extension. I'm available by email pretty much whenever, and I'll get back to phone messages if that's how you prefer to communicate. I look forward to the possibility of meeting you guys at some point, and I've really enjoyed getting to know your kids these last couple of weeks.